Don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets, looking around as though you wished you were anywhere.
He conquered American television with an unbreakable charm. Yet in the end, he was abandoned as an outcast. This is the downfall of James Corden and why no one misses him in Hollywood. But before we expose Corden, hit the subscribe button because this downfall might surprise you. James Corden's 0 to 100 to 0. If there's one line that can perfectly capture the GM Gordon's experience, it's that you don't meet your heroes. For many years, Corden had sold himself as the jolly guy that everyone loved. He was humble, relatable, and just happy to be where he was.
He is without question a fucking lunatic. He's mental. Like, just when it couldn't get any weirder, the moving to Devon, like at that point you thought, well, that's it. That's the end of now, the Jackson thing.
He had all sorts of personas on his way to becoming a Hollywood star. He was hosting award shows and starring in blockbuster films. He had landed one of the most interesting gigs in American television. The world just couldn't get enough of Jim Corden at one point, until suddenly everything changed. Beneath his addicting laugh and uniquely crafted relatability, there was something darker that no one even knew. This was a pattern of bullying, entitlement, and ego that was so toxic that his own family begged him to stop. From there, it was nothing but the downfall of his career that ultimately put him into ruins, and his reputation got permanently tarnished.
I was just wondering, how was your service?
It was good, it was good. The service was great. It was like, you did great, you were fantastic. Any other questions?
It's just a little weird because you didn't leave much of a tip.
Now, this isn't a story about how a Hollywood actor got exposed, but it's more of a case study on what happens when you've been pretending for too long. And the mask finally slips, with everyone seeing who you really are. To understand his unique downfall, we must know how he even got to this point in the first place. The beginning of James Corden. James Corden was born in London in 1978. His parents were working class, with his father being a book salesman and his mother a social worker. Interestingly, James Corden's childhood was unremarkably normal. He was not privileged nor given any handouts, just a standard British working-class life. However, he'd later turned this background into a position to position himself as one of the most authentic, down-to-earth, and yet regular blokes that somehow made it big. If you study James Corden's early career, you will see that he had taken part in many small roles in British television that most people have already forgotten. However, his main breakthrough came with a drama named Fat Friends, which was about overweight people who were trying to lose weight. This kind of show is something that you couldn't make today without generating thousands of think pieces about body shaming and problematic representation. However, for Corden, he was playing with fire. But it was a totally different era. On the set of Fat Friends, Corden met someone named Ruth Jones, who was a writer and actress who changed his career trajectory. Together, they created none other than Gavin and Stacey, which was a comedy about an English guy falling for a Welsh girl. Americans might have never heard of it, but in the UK, it became a cultural phenomenon and one of the most successful comedies of 2000.
Turkey's got to be roasted.
Who says? It's got to be cooked, that's all. Beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, but we're not beggars, are we? We should be able to afford a decent cooker.
Here's the interesting part. Both Corden and Jones played supporting characters named Smithy and Nessa, who became far more popular than the show's actual leading actors. Their chemistry was electric. The writing was interesting because both had their writing backgrounds, and suddenly, James Corden became one of the biggest deals in the UK. Offers flooded into him for hosting gigs, panel shows, and even film roles. He was everywhere, and was known as the most authentic, natural entertainer who could talk about almost anything. Success, however, did. Man, I did turn many people into strange characters, and so it did to James Corden. However, at that point, no one knew. According to his own sister, he became a blunt D-head. The warning signs.
James Corden has had a tough time. Obviously, he's gone to America and he's huge, but he's just had a really tough time with the press, the media, and a lot of negative stuff about him.
After his success with the TV comedy, Gavin and Stacey, Corden tried to replicate the same magic by working with Matthew Horn on various projects. However, They ignored the fact that Ruth Jones was primarily responsible for the show's quality and details. Their first movie together was Lesbian Vampire Killers, and it was absolutely destroyed by critics and bombed amazingly at the box office. Their sketch comedy show Horn and Corden also failed completely, making people question whether either of them had ever been funny. Interestingly enough, Corden quietly distanced himself from Matthew Horn, and after that, moved on to bigger opportunities, while his former partner's career kept going towards downfall. However, it was behind the scenes when Corden's troubling behavior was emerging, and neither the mainstream media nor his fans knew what was happening. His sudden fame was also inflating his ego to dangerous levels. The Gavin and Stacey co-star Rob Brydon actually pulled him aside to warn him about his attitude. Even Corden's own family intervened, with one of his sisters straight up telling him that he is not a good person. But how did the first chink in the armor appear? The first chink in the armor appeared in his affable persona that came at the 2010 Glamour Women of the Year Awards, when Patrick Stewart, who was frustrated by Corden's disinterest and disrespect during the ceremony, called him out on the live stage. Take a look at what he said.
The presenters are up here, and when the recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets, looking around as though you wished you were anywhere but here.
Oh, you couldn't be more wrong, sir. You couldn't be more wrong. Oh, genuinely. And if it looked like that, I'm so sorry. But when you come up and present an award, just get on with it. There we go.
So, was it unprofessional for Stewart to embarrass him publicly instead of having a private word? Sure. But was it also hilarious to watch Corden getting scolded on live TV like that? Of course. But this shows us something darker that people ignored behind those laughs. This is because it was also the first time the public got to see a real glimpse of behind his carefully structured image and a preview of entitled behavior that would eventually destroy his career. If you're starting to see the pattern, make sure to subscribe to our channel because we will keep exposing more celebrity. His transition to America.
Hello, everyone. I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, look, Andy Richter's got his own show. Welcome to the Late Late Show, everybody.
And by 2014, Corden needed a game changer. He already achieved everything possible in Britain, but now it was time to move to a higher level. His international stardom required him to win the hearts of Americans. This opportunity came when Craig Ferguson announced he was leaving the Late Late Show after a successful decade-long run. There, CBS needed a replacement. And who else was fitting than the funniest James Corden? To his credit, Corden initially seemed an inspired choice. His everyday persona contrasted perfectly with the uniquely polished confidence of other late-night hosts, and his humor was something that far exceeded them. He even genuinely seemed excited to be there, engaging with the guests as real people rather than their celebrities to promote or to chase from. He even understood the importance of viral moments in social media and delivered them consistently, increasing the show's rating again and again. Then came another part of his show, which was Carpool Karaoke. And it was genius because celebrities would be singing along to their hits while Corden drove them around the beautiful streets of LA. It was fun, informal, and generated millions of views. You can see people like Shaq and many other celebrities just having fun with Corden. It also gave birth to a unique, beautiful cultural moment, with everyone, including Adele and Paul McCartney, participating in it. Record audiences also tuned in, and the Late Night Late became essential for everyone to watch.
I'm in California dreaming about who.
Corden was hosting a major awards ceremony on American television. His movie career was also reviving with bigger roles and better projects. Everything he touched turned to gold. And it wouldn't be wrong to say that his transition to America was probably his best move to get to a higher level. The cameraman incident. Since we've already talked about a lot of Corden's upbringing and his early career, now it's time for his major downfalls. The first public hint that something was wrong came during a game segment of his own show called Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts. This was essentially a truth or dare with disgusting food options. Jimmy Kimmel appeared here as a guest, and he asked Corden what should have been an easy question.
2 of the cameramen in this room
He said, "Name 2 of the cameramen in this room." There, Corden froze. He laughed nervously and was clearly unable to name even one person with whom he'd been filming for years. Eventually, he chose to eat disgusting food rather than admit he didn't know any of their names. This moment was excruciating, and the incident also crystallized something viewers had sensed but couldn't quite get. Corden's everyman persona was completely fiction. He didn't care about regular people. All he cared about was his own fame and money. The Reddit issue. Then came 2018, when Corden made a catastrophic decision to host a Reddit AMA. For those people who are unfamiliar with Reddit, this is where celebrities basically go to die. There, he created a forum where users proudly asked some of the most uncomfortable questions and started calling Cordens. It was the last place where secrets should have appeared.
Not really, I think you're a cunt. Couple questions. 1. How well do you sleep at night knowing that with each and every passing year, you are another step closer to your inevitable demise, career and your own mortality?
The session was absolutely a disaster, and one of the top voted comments came from someone who'd encountered Corden at a London restaurant years later, describing him as rude, dismissive, and acting like a complete prick. It was like what his own sister said. Other commentators also piled up on similar stories. Someone witnessed him filming A League of Their Own, a British sports panel show, and they described Corden throwing tantrums, refusing to interact with fans, and behaving like an arrogant prick who absolutely didn't want to be there. This pattern was unmistakable, as he was charming on camera, but terrible off camera. The friendly banter and jolly demeanor were nothing more than performance. People were starting to get James Corden's whole ploy and knew that all he was doing was nothing more than a persona. Restaurant wars.
Restaurant war with a New York City restaurant owner this week. So here's how it all unfolded. First, the owner, Keith McNally, said Corden acted badly in his restaurant Balthazar and temporarily banned him. Then Corden seemed to apologize and everything appeared to be okay, with McNally saying Corden could come back. But now, after an interview Corden did with the New York Times, it seems like things are heating up again. Corden said the incident was, quote, so silly and that he had not done anything wrong.
Restaurants became a recurring theme in Corden's downfall, which is ironic given his love for food. The most famous incident occurred in October 2022 at Balthazar, an upscale New York restaurant. Here, owner Keith McNally banned Corden from the restaurant, calling him the most abusive customer ever. McNally detailed 2 separate incidents on social media, describing that Corden screaming at staff over minor issues and being aggressively rude to other diners was something that he would not entertain. In one instance, Corden found a hair in his foot and began yelling like crazy. In another, he complained about his wife's egg yolk omelet preparation with such venom that the server was reduced to tears. Carpool Karaoke lie. We've already talked about Carpool Karaoke and how it became a defining moment for Cordon's career and his show. However, then came a revelation that it was mostly faked. Corden wasn't actually driving it, and their car was towed on a trailer with Corden and his guest pretending to drive while the production crew surrounded them. This seems like a minor detail, because who cares if the car was being towed for safety reasons, right? However, it did shatter the illusion that had made the whole segment work, which was being authentic. Combined with everything else, his collapse was imminent, but not as intense as in 2023. Final downfall.
341 days ago, our first guest left his late-night talk show and moved back to England to drive on the wrong side of the road. He has a new podcast on SiriusXM called This Life of Mine. Please welcome James Corden.
By 2023, the late-night show was basically dying. Weekly ratings were half of what they'd been just 6 months earlier, and the viral moments weren't happening anymore. The celebrities who happily appeared once were finding other places to promote themselves. Corden's whole audience was falling in April 2023. Corden announced that he was leaving the show, while not moving to another network and not taking a break, but just leaving immediately. Shortly after, CBS also announced that the late-night show itself was being taken off the air permanently. This show had run successfully for decades, but was being canceled because James Corden had thoroughly destroyed it. Today, no one actually misses him because his exit was so quick and almost seemed like it came with intense hate. Looking back, the signs were already there, from the Patrick Stewart incident, his own sister calling him names, and the Reddit AMA disaster. Do you think his downfall was justified? Tell us in the comments below. If you enjoy videos where we expose the deepest, darkest corners of Hollywood, please subscribe to our channel and ring the bell icon for more.